In today's kind of webinar, guys, what we're going to chat about today is we're going to mainly focus on the new Autodesk Construction Cloud. You can see just from my screen here, I suppose the projects list that we have, and what we're kind of explaining today is Autodesk Construction Cloud is kind of an upgrade from the older BIM360 modules. Okay, so you can see the kind of platform that we are originally used to looking at, which is all in relation to BIM360. And you can see the modules as well within here. Okay, what we're looking at now is the Autodesk Construction Cloud. So as you can see from the list here, it's an integration of basically BIM360, Plan, Grid, and Assemble. And you can see that the newer projects are symbolized by this sphere here, whereas the older BIM360 projects have that original BIM360 icon that you're all used to seeing. Similar enough, if you're used to looking at BIM360, the original Plan Grid users can actually get into their original Plan Grid projects from selecting this Plan Grid option over in the top right hand corner over here. Similar enough, you can get into your account admin side of it up here, and you can get into your Insight analytics on the top right hand corner as well over here. You can also see to create a new project. You can simply create a new project, and you can select and enter your project details inside here, and they'll appear on the list down here then. So what we're going to show today is we're going to go through the Collaborate Pro, the new Collaborate Pro entitlement, which is, I suppose, the upgrade from BIM360 Design. And what we're also going to look at is the Autodesk Takeoff as well. So what I'm going to start with today, and my colleague Maria will take over after in terms of the Takeoff, is the Collaborate Pro demo. So to get into it, we're going to use this Collaborate Pro project inside here. Now, what we're going to show is you can see the interface for the Autodesk Construction Cloud is different to the original interface that you would have seen with the document management and the design modules in BIM360. So you can see inside here you have further field and you have project files. Okay, whereas in the older BIM360 platform, you had the plans view and then you had the project files folder inside here. Now, a lot of the icons will remain the same. You can see on the left-hand side here, you have your files, which is your docs, reviews, transmittals, issues, your reporting module inside here, members, and settings. Whereas in the original BIM360, you would see these lads up at the top here. So the view and the interface has changed slightly as well. So what we've kind of done here is we've set up a demo project for design collaboration, okay? And the first thing is inside here, you need to make sure that within your members tab that you have those modules assigned to you. So you can see within the members, you can go to add new members up here, but you can also select the existing members. And you can see that assigning the projects or the modules inside here is a small bit different. You tick them on and off according to what you actually want to give your users access to in terms of their permissions. So you can see inside here, I have access to Docs, Insight, Design, and I also have Takeoff. And then you can see that I can select my colleagues as well, Maria and Sean, and you can see that their entitles might be different. Okay, you can also see as well, you can assign your companies, your role, and your access level as well. So that's based on your permissions. And again, you can see that it's all pretty much the same as what was originally shown in BIM360, only that the interface is a small bit different. So to get back to looking at the Collaborate Pro offering, you can see inside in the Files section, the best practice that we kind of normally recommend in terms of setting this up, it's similar enough to what we would have done in design, but you set up your folder structure first. So you can see that we've set up a folder structure for the WIP area, so work in progress, along with each different discipline. So architectural, structural, MEP, and then we have another one just called specialist. You can also see that a shared folder is automatically created when you create your teams. And then you can see you have a published and archived folder as well. But when setting up this folder structure, we always make sure set up the folder structure first before you look at creating your teams for your Collaborate Pro. So what we mean by that is you set up your folder structure for each discipline. So architectural, structural, and MEP. And then when you're looking to activate the design for collaboration, okay, or design collaboration, you select into design collaboration, and then in the settings at the bottom down here, when you're going to add your different teams, okay, so what I mean by teams is that if I go to the home tab click on these three dots over here, you will see that we have the teams that are going to be collaborating in design. So the different teams that are going to be publishing and sharing their models and allowing the other disciplines to consume them as well. But in order to set these teams up, you first of all need to set up your folder structure. And then when you select the add teams, we recommend that rather than trying to add the team from here and then just trying to operate the folder structure, so you're going to add your team. So let's say rather than actually selecting and typing in the name, I'm going to go select existing. You browse through your folder structure, making sure that you have your folders already set up. Let's say, for instance, I'm going to add the specialist team here. I select add, and you will see that that will be added to the team. So rather than trying to do it manually by selecting enter team and trying to give it a path, you make sure that your folder structure is set up first, and then when you select it from the folder structure, you'll see that the path is automatically created inside here as well. And then you can see inside here that the teams is added as well. So when you're setting up your team, you can also see that you have inside here, you have an option to schedule and publish as well. So that's something that when you're actually setting up your and publishing your model into the cloud, you can set up the time and dates that you want the model to be published up. So what we're going to go through here is we already have the model published up into the cloud, but we're just going to go through in theory what you would do to publish that up for the first time and what you would do to create new versions of that as you go on. So let's say you have your model saved at the moment locally onto your machine. So this model inside here. If you wanted to publish that and collaborate that up into your design projects folder, you would have to go in here to collaborate. And then inside here, you'd have the option to collaborate it up into the cloud. But because we've done that already in terms of pushing that up into the cloud, you can see that that option is not available to me. But the one thing to take note of is that before you even publish that up, what you need to look at is what views, whether that be 2D or 3D, what views you want to publish up into the cloud. And you do that through this area here called Publish Settings. So when you select into Publish Settings, you need to first of all select the type of set that you're going to use. So you can see that we've created a set here called Architectural Set. Inside here, then you can see all views and sheets that you currently have in your set. So if you want to add more items into that set, you simply click on the drop down here. You select all views and sheets in model, or else you can see that you can select it by discipline. So you can go just the views in the model or just the sheets in the model. So if I selected, let's say, the views, you can see that I can come inside here and I can take further views that I want to add into that set. So you can see I've selected the basement level. I can select the furniture on the 5th floor rather, it might be easier. Then I can go to all views and sets, and you can see that that's also added inside here. So now that you have your model already published up into the cloud, you save and close your publish settings. And if you want your new set to be uploaded into the cloud, you now have the option to go into Manage Cloud Models. So inside here, just give this a second to load. You can see inside here, you can see your project. So I'm working on the Collab Pro demo here. Select into the project. And then you can see inside here, I can choose to upload a new version of the architectural model inside here. So let's say I could publish that up into my Docs platform. And inside here then, inside in Docs, there would be a new version created in the WIP area under architectural. So when I publish that up, it'll change from version 3 to version 4. So that's how you kind of, first of all, create your design collaboration. You're moving your model locally from your computer up into your cloud platform. And then you can see that you can start editing and publishing your model inside here. So I could select into the model. If I wanted to inside here, I could start creating my issues. So if I find anything that's wrong with the model that I want to highlight and identify, I can select my issues inside here. You can also see I can do a compare, so I can select the comparison between what's changed on version 3 and version 2. So if I select compare here, You'll see in the bottom left, it'll start doing a load bar, and then you can see what changes are actually made in the model. So this is all fully customizable. So if I wanted to just see what's been modified, I can remove both the added and the removed item, and then I can see what's just been modified inside here. So if you actually wanted to see what's been modified per individual family, I could simply select on an item within the viewer, and you can see that currently I'm looking at what's on version 3, but if I want to see how it's been changed from the original version and version 2, you can see that I can select in between them. Okay, so from that you can see that what's been changed from version 3 to version 2, and if I wanted to publish that out into an Excel sheet, I can simply download that, and you can see that it opens up as a differential report, and you can see the changes then between them as well inside here. So that's just currently what's been changed within the Modify tab. So this is again just giving a brief overview of the Collaborate Pro options. You'll see that nothing much has changed between your design inside in your BIM360 and your Collaborate Pro. You can also see that if you wanted to publish this and allow other disciplines to download and consume your model, that hasn't changed. Okay, so you can go back into design collaboration. You can click inside in your home tab, you can click on your little swim lane inside here. You can see that I'm currently the architect, and if I wanted to create a new package for, let's say, the structural or the MEP to download, I can select inside here, create new package. I can select my version, or whether that be my set or my models or my sets. So I'm just going to select the model. I'm going to edit the name, let's say just to today's date, 24 to the 6th, 21. I'll save this here. You can see that I can now share this up into that swim lane, which allows the other disciplines to now download and start linking in that model into their own. So I've got share here. Now when I share that, you can see that a new one has now appeared on the swim lane. So if I was to change over to, let's say, the MEP now, so I have now become the MEP coordinator, I can come in here now and I can select the architectural and I can choose to consume that. So when I consume that, because you've now created the teams inside in your docs area, when I consume that, that new version of the architectural model has now been placed into my consumed folder in my WIP area. So if I go to the MEP side, you can see that automatically you have consumed. You can see the architect, and now you can see that I'm now after downloading that into my consumed area. So if I was the architect, or if I was the MEP inside here, and let's say for instance, this was my model, I could come inside here, manage links, or let's say insert link Revit, and because it's working through the design for collaboration area, just give it a second to load, I can come through now the external references, search through till I see the folder, and I could come inside here, browse in till I see my consumed area here, and I could select, let's say for instance, the model and link that in directly through there. So what that's allowing you to do, whether that be both you're working from the MEP side of it or from the architectural, is that you can choose when you want to share your model and when you want to create the package for the other, let's say, disciplines, whether that be mechanical or structural, to download and start linking in your model so that maybe they can reference your model to what they're doing as well. So again, that's just a brief overview of the Collaborate Pro. So what we're going to show you now is the Autodesk Takeoff, and then my colleague Sean will speak further afterwards for tips and tricks. But I'll pass you over to my colleague Maria, who will take you into the Autodesk Takeoff.
Yeah, and hi everyone. It's just Connor's asked a question there about can a file in BIM360 account and Collab Pro account be shared or linked? And there is options that you can link them through the desktop connector. If they're not, what would you say, cloud initiated models, you use the desktop connector. And if they are cloud initiated, you use your external references in Revit. But we can discuss that with him even some way. If he's interested, we could kind of have a separate demo or workshop with him.
Perfect. So I'll just pass you over to my colleague Maria. So you present it here.
Thanks, Ger. Okay, so if you want to access the Takeoff module, you just do it through your module selector here. Okay, so this is the home screen. So you can see the recent activity that has taken place within this module. So you can see recent sheets and models that you've viewed or created takeoffs from, and any recent takeoff packages that have been created as well. So you're using the same file, say the document management area for all your files and models. So the idea is you're working off that same information all the time. So without having to go back into your document management, you can access that through this files area here. Now to create your takeoffs, you're going to be doing it through this sheets and models area there. So you need to actually publish your sheets and upload your models to that area. So to do that, you can just do it through your docs area here. So just to show you, if I go into the drawings folder, so you can do it individually or you can do multiple at the same time. So if I just select it here, you can just click publish takeoff sheets and models. If you want to do it all together, you just click the top box and it will publish all of those at the same time. Okay, so if I go into the sheets and models, so these are the sheets and models that you can do your takeoffs from. So you see we have 3 sheets that have been published. They're part of the one version set. You can see when they have been issued or published, and you can see the tags that have been added to those sheets. You also have your separate 3D models area here. Okay, so before you do your takeoffs, you need to set your unit of measurement and your classification system. So you can do that through this packages area here. So you can see we have a package already created for these takeoffs. And if you go into settings, you can see here, this is where you're going to set it up. So you either have your imperial or metric. So obviously we're using metric. We're using the uniclass classification system. So to bring that in, you just do it here. So we have an export option, but you will be importing it from this section here. You also have the option for adding a second classification system if you want, the likes of the NRM. You can import it that way. Okay, so to actually create a takeoff, then if I go into my A1 floor plan sheet. Okay, so then from here now we need to specify the package that we want to add it to. So we have one set up here, the takeoff demo. Now, obviously, we only have a small amount of sheets and models, but you could have any number of here. So you have a search option if you're looking for a specific one. So I can search by floor plan. So you see that one has come up there. You also have a filter option. So you can filter by tags, by version sets if you have multiple, by the different document type, or sheets and models with the takeoff already. Okay, so before we actually start the takeoff, you see here the scale hasn't been set. So obviously once we're getting our floor areas or measurements, we need to make sure that our measurements are correct. So we need to set the scale. Now, this one here we know is 1:100. So down on this bar here, we can actually select 1:100 scale from here. Now, if you don't have, if it's not obvious, but if you have measurements in your drawing, so we have measurements here between the grids, you have a calibrate option here to do that. So if I select that, I can specify the points. So from here to here. So I'm working on millimeters. I can enter in the amount and calibrate. So you see it's automatically calibrated to 1:100. Okay, so now to start the takeoff, we go into our takeoff types and just the plus then to create it. So we're just going to do this one, floor area. So in the tool, we need to specify what kind of tool we want. So obviously we want the area. In the appearance, you can either set a fill or a border. So if you want to change the color, you have more color options there. Now, if the name isn't enough, you can add a description there if you need to. Now in the primary output, this is where we're going to set. So in the element and functions here, we want our floors, so we can select it from this classification system. The output is how we want, excuse me, the measurement. So we want the square meters in this particular takeoff. So in the secondary output, this is where you would set, if we put in that optional NRN classification system, that is where you can add that in the secondary output here. Okay, so with all those done, we can just start the takeoff. So say we want to get the area of this office here. Okay, so with that done, just hit enter. So you can see it updates that floor area here on the left hand side. So if I go to add another one here, and enter, so it's automatically added that as well. Now I know it's showing up here in millimeters squared, but we have the meters squared as we want to in that section. Now you can click here and you can get a more detailed takeoff if you want to. So you can see the breakdown of the individual rooms that I've measured for this takeoff. Okay, so now let's say we want to do a takeoff from a 3D model. Go back into our sheets and models, and I can select the 3D models from this here. Okay, so again, say I want to get the number of the concrete columns that are in this model. So again, I go into my takeoff types, create the takeoff. Okay, so the tool in this particular one, because we're working in a 3D model, it is defaulted to BIM. Now again, in the appearance, we can select which one we want. I'll just go with yellow, it's more obvious in this case. So again, we set our classification, so we can just type in so it filters down to the ones that you're looking for. So we want concrete columns in this case. Now we just want I just want a count, so we can leave it as that. And then we can start the takeoff. Now, if I go into my model browser here, so this is where we can isolate elements that we're looking for. So I want to isolate my structural columns. So you can see here that they're all highlighted like that. So once I've selected one, you can see it's adding it to the takeoff. So I can right click there and I can select all 300. So if I zoom out, you see it's selected all of them there in one go. And I can click this tick here. So it's added all of those. Now within this, you also have the option to form clusters. So this is a really handy tool, and it filters out your model by the elements. So that's down this this bar here. So if I select that, so you see it divides it all out within the elements. So you can see straight off. It's easier to select them this way. Now, if I hone in on the structural columns, so it's left out some of them. Now, obviously, with those, with the seal ones we don't need. So you can see I've missed these columns here, because obviously they're a different type. So I can select those, and I can add them again then to that takeoff. Okay, and then just to put the model back together, just click that button again, and it's back together like that. Now again with this, you can see the detailed takeoff, so it has itemized all of those columns like that. So you also have an inventory. So again, this just has a list of all of the takeoffs that you have created. So you can filter down as much as you want to see all of those. Now, if I select those, you can see on the window on the right-hand side, that's broken it down into these floor areas. Now, you also have the option to export the takeoffs. So you can export them individually, or you can export all of them if needed. So it exports out to an Excel file. Now, these here, they're grouped by the primary classification. If we had set the secondary classification, you can also filter by that as well. You can filter by document. So you can see here that the takeoffs are associated by these particular documents. So you can see straight away, all of this is traceable. You can see straight away which documents are associated with those takeoffs. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the takeoff demo. So I'll hand you back over to my colleague Sean now.
Hi everyone. What I'm going to kind of go through here is, does anyone have any questions on this while I kind of show what's come out now with the ISO settings on the platform? No? I think there's no chats after coming in. So what it is I'll just minimize this here. Can everyone see my screen? Yeah. So what is there's with this, and it's as the same on the BIM360 platform, Autodesk released a naming standard. So what that is that if I go back to my file section here, you have ways of kind of setting up a standardized naming system that needs to be controlled. So any document that's uploaded has to go through a approval process. So to do this, what I need to do is click on settings here and go naming standards. And you see here now that I have this, by default, it's customized to the British standard, the British kind of ISO 19650 setup. I can customize this and I can start editing certain areas. So you can see here, once you can set your project. If I go to the originator, I can see exactly who the originator is. So I can change this as the project is going ahead. So I have originator here. I can add a value here. So if this was Procad, so it's PRO, and this is all based on the BIM execution plan that is provided by the client. I can add, say, the client's acronym. So I could say CLI and have a description here, which could be called Acme Client. So you're more or less developing this as the project advances. I just click on save, and that's adding those values to your originator. And then I'm going to my volume strategy. So if we want to add different volumes to the project, we can add them here. If, for example, there's a different levels, so you see here, this is only going up to level 2. I need to add another level. I can select it here, and I can add level 03. I'll go description, level 3. Level 3, and if I want to add another value, say for mezzanine, right, we call it ME. I can call this. So you're developing this throughout the project. See where level 3 is brought down here. I can move that up, so it will fall under the 02 level. I can keep consistent here and put a 0 here, and just click save. So that's adding those levels to my kind of naming convention setup. And here's where I can have my types, so I know exactly what file type that I'm importing. And up in the top here, if I can add or edit the roles, I have the ability to do it here. And then we have our numbers. So you can see here, as part of my numbers, it's a number field, and I think the character length has to be between 4 and 6 characters. I think I can change that. I think by default, this is what it's set out of the box with Autodesk. Below here, there's also additional attributes. So you can have a status of an upload. You can put in the revisions, and you can put in the classification of that particular. These are kind of non-required elements. So this is kind of just setting the standards here. And what I do then is it's already preset. And what you need to do then also is to select what folders you need to enforce these particular, what would you say, naming standards on. So I just go select folders, and I can pick either for the field area, which is like the plans as Ger described earlier, or it's for, say, a different area. So I put it into an archived area. It's already been monitored on the published area here, and go select. So that's actually assigning it to 2 folders now. You'll see it puts a tick on it here. So I just finished that. That's finished there now, and I go back into my files area. And you can see here now that these 2 folders are kind of being watched. So what I do then is if I go into that folder and I want to upload a file. So I think I've, say I have these files here. I can select these. I'll select 3 of them just for the sake of this. And you can see here now, they have their own unique name and kind of file name. So I pull this across and I drag it in. So because that folder has been monitored, it's saying straight away that it doesn't conform to the naming standards. So I can just call this as, this is the project. So if this project was called demo, let's delete there. It's going blue because it meets the criteria, and I put that across here, here, and here. And I know, and if you watch on the very left-hand side, what it's doing now here is it's renaming the upload. So I say this is across all areas. It's all volumes and systems. Here's the location. If this was to level 03, which I mentioned, it will select that, but I put it across all levels. It's a report. So I go down here to RP and I give a discipline then. So say if it was the architecture report and it's 0001 of the name. These won't go red because they're not required. It are these ones that form part of the requirements. So I can go through the same process on these. So this is stair design. So I just pick this and go ZZ. I can have this as a design file, or if it's an information exchange, you can more or less tailor these to suit whatever needs be. And that says stair design is from the structural engineer, so it'll be S. And that's there, 0001 file. And say if this one was, I didn't need it, or what I also show is I've met the criteria for these 2 out of the 3, I can still upload to folder. So what that's doing is it's uploading the folder, the 2 that I've gone through, and it's after pushing the one that I have not, what would you say, gone through the naming check into a holding area, which is up here. You might see that in some of your BIM360 accounts where there's this new holding area kind of section of it. So these are uploading, and you can see they've all been renamed. So what I can do is I can go into the holding area now, and I can see straight away that there's an item yet to be kind of reviewed. So I can select that, and I can delete that if needs be. I said this is not what we require. I can delete it, and that will remove that from my holding area, and I have my files here inside here. So I can just click, and as before, you can click these and go through your report and see exactly. So that's kind of a new thing that Autodesk are doing, which is kind of getting more information within the BIM and meeting BIM workflows. So that's kind of where what also has come as well is the settings. Sorry, no, just waiting for it to load up. You can add more attributes as well. So we've had customers ask, is it possible to add like a file name to the end of this? And that can be done through just by creating an attribute called, say, file description. And it's just a text input, go create. And because I have the naming standard, what you can do then is you can customize that and add that. It won't allow me to add this because I've it already enforced on the project. So that's kind of ways that you can edit these. I could have this, instead of it being an alphanumeric dropdown, I could have it set that the project is Collab Pro and just have that as the start of my naming convention here. So this is what's coming, and it's at the moment it's what would you say, on a project based, but within the next rollout it'll be a template that you can apply across all projects. So that's kind of the way it works on the naming standards. Does anyone have any questions on this? If you want me to kind of go a bit further into it, or any questions on what Maria and Ger went over?
Hi Sean, it's Owen here. How you keeping?
Hi, on. Good.
Can you hear me there? You can, yeah?
I can, yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff. So yeah, great to see this new feature. We've been waiting for this for a while.
Yeah.
Myself being a project information manager, this will take away a lot of the rework that I have to do, you know, like making sure file names are compliant going up.
Yeah.
Just one question there. I think you mentioned it, but the description field, which would be important to have up there, obviously, so people can see what the file actually is. So you're saying that can form part of this compliance check, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It has to be enforced at the start of the project.
It's just you need to set it in force, and the only worry about that is if someone puts in GRND instead of GROUND for like a ground floor plan, it'll see it as two separate files, and there is that potential for having two different versions of the one file. It's just something that, but what you could do is you could have a drop down and say you could have it populated with ground floor plan, or just kind of keep it brief rather than going into, say, ground floor general arrangement plan. But
Right.
at least you have something to reference it to. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's fine. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, no problem. Does anyone else have any questions on it? Or anything else you would like us to go through? I know Ger mentioned about the Collaborate Pro, like the tips and tricks on that. It's best to have, as you said, best to have the folders in place for it. And then assign your teams then to those folders, because it can become a bit of a mess when you go to your file section and you see different kind of shared files. So we could show what it would look like if you had set it up a different way. So we have it already preset here, and if you create a new team under it called Architect, it messes it up on this side. So it's best to have the files first, the folders first, and work on it that way. There's nothing else. Yeah, Takeoff is a nice new addition, and that form cluster is a game changer. And hopefully it will form part of the BIM. It'll fall into the BIM kind of the large model viewer in the files area as well. Okay, does anyone? No one has any other questions? I'll just check the chat here. When is the next rollout due? We've been told that it's going to be due the middle to end of next month, with regards the template rollout. That's when that's supposed to be done.
Sorry, Sean, just another question there.
Yeah.
Slightly off topic, but so this deals with the uploading of PDFs, like as you would have done traditionally.
Yeah.
Where the big difference for us now going forward will be is where the design team, for example, will include the Revit sheets as part of their model upload, and Revit scans the description and the file name from the sheet. Yeah.
That's only in the plans area.
Okay.
At the moment, if I uploaded a Revit model, it will just upload the Revit model. It won't. In the plans area, it'll pull out whatever sheets you have available, but it won't. And I wouldn't recommend that either, because if you have IFC models linked in as references, if you're using like a Collaborate Pro workflow, and you have a non-file, like say an IFC structural model linked in, when you go to view those files within BIM360, within say the files area of Autodesk Docs, it won't have that IFC desktop connector kind of linked model as a background on your sheets.
Okay.
Because it's not linked through your external references in Revit.
Right.
If that's it's just to be very cautious of that if, for example, you have an architect and a mechanical contractor who are engaging with Collaborate Pro, and they're linking in no problem, but your civil structural team either don't want to have Collaborate Pro. What they do is they just upload it in and you link it through the desktop connector into both your architect and MEP Collaborate Pro models. When you upload those to the files area of Docs, the architect will have the mechanical layout, no problem at all on all their drawings, but they won't have the, what would you say, structural columns, because they're only linked through the desktop connector.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
within their Revit environment, they'd be able to see all the files, no problem. It's just something to be conscious of. That.
Yeah.
And what I would do then is I'd always recommend just generating PDFs straight away out of your Revit model and uploading those into the relevant folder, because they'd be contractual anyway, and at least you know that you're 100% sure that they have the right backgrounds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, is that where we're going? Do you think that is that what Autodesk are working towards, that the uploaders will kind of include the sheets as part of their published package of the design?
Oh yeah, yes, definitely. Because at least if you go to Design Collab, you can review whatever sets are published. So you have an option of creating packages here. So I think that one's created. So if I open up this architectural set, you can see that it has 3 sheets and 1 3D view.
Yeah.
And here, this is American, but these can be drawings, and by default it has your 3D view. So all I do then is if I go to create a package here, I've options. I can either do the model, or I can select which set. Like, you can have multiple sets in your published settings in Revit. And I know on some projects and some BIM projects, you need to provide like a QA, QC checklist, check sheet as well. So you could have like a document that you've uploaded as well. So if I'm creating a package, I can add documents here, but they need to be within my team environment. So if I say, for example, if this plan view was a quality PDF that I've created, I just go add, and as part of my share package, I want to just create this set. So this is just kind of like a QA, QC upload. So that's kind of like what we're doing here. So let's say it as a name, and I just go save, and I want to share that package with the wider team. So what they will get now when they consume that kind of file is they'll get that model with the sets and that PDF file to prove that it's gone through a process of checking.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Very good.
Thanks. Yeah. No, it's no problem. And there's, yeah, with Collaborate Pro, you get meetings as well. I don't know if anyone was familiar with this. So before, the Collab meetings was only available with BIM360 Build. So with Collaborate Pro now, you have the ability to open up meetings and create kind of like a documented meeting on the whole lot. So you can see here, if I open up this Collaborate Pro demo, I can see what was discussed. I can see who it was assigned to, and I can also add more invitees onto this if needs be. So if I want to kind of create a follow, so if I want to minute this meeting, say everything's okay, it will minute it. And I can also email the invitees who are on this with a report on it. And I can also create a follow-up meeting for, say if that's today, I can say we have another meeting on Monday and confirm that. And everything is fully traceable. So I've all the dates of what this Collaborate Pro demo meeting was about. And you can also add different topics for the agenda before the next meeting. So I can actually say this one actually ongoing, this is ongoing, and this one is closed. So you can kind of more or less capture everything. And all you do then is just to do a report, just go export to PDF. And what that will do is it will send me a allow me here to download it, and it will also send me an email. So I'll just save this here, just to show you what the report looks like. So it gives the logo of your company here, gives the number of the meeting, and gives who. If I had ticked who attended it, it would be tagged here, and the status of all these issues, or not issues but notes. It's not really a an issue capturing engine. It's more like a note-taking engine. If I wanted to say assign this to a particular issue, I can just click the three dots and go reference and pick on different files. Oh, it's because I don't have permissions to do that, but you can see exactly what you can and cannot do within it. So that's kind of a nice added benefit to have. And you can track, if I for some reason say, well, this is now changed now to like a unified demo. Just to note, if I click here, it's going to push that unified demo topic across all of my meetings. So it's just something to be wary of when you're reviewing it. Does anyone have any further questions? I'll just check here. No. Well, that's more or less kind of a very quick overview on the new unified platform. And just to note, all of these are a bring your own subscription model. So if you have, well, except for Takeoff, if you have the Collaborate Pro, you can be invited onto multiple projects. What's also coming is Docs is going to be sold on its own as well. Lately, it was not going to be sold by itself, but now it can be sold as its own unique offering. So, and that's going to be a bring your own subscription. So if your company has 20 Autodesk Docs licenses and you were invited onto a project, they can invite you in using your Autodesk Docs license, which before was never available. That's perfect. Ger Maria, do you want to add anything else further to this, or what else do we need to do anything else on it?
I think everything that we've shown there is kind of a good basis of the Autodesk Construction Cloud, I suppose, modules as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we like there's other modules like the build, which we didn't go into, and we could keep that separate, but that's where you can geotag photographs and do all your QA forms and checklists. And you also have your asset management too as well. So that's kind of it. They're all kind of bolt-ons that you can add. And as always, the docs is the foundation stone, which is your files and your reviews and transmittals. And they're all interlinked with each other. So that's kind of more or less it. If anyone has any questions, feel free to email Ger Maria or myself. We'd be delighted to kind of even delve further into it and show you what are the right and wrong ways of doing it.
Thanks very much for your time, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.